Hi, Facebook. I am super excited to have you here, whether you are live or in the replay. I would love you to say hi. Let me know where you are tuning in from. My name is Lori Evans, and I am a virtual assistant, and I help business owners to scale and grow in their business and take back their time by tackling those projects that sometimes get put on the back burner, right? Like who has been talking about launching a course for, the past 6 months and just have not found the time. And sometimes I tackle those projects that just seem a little bit big and overwhelming, and it'd be nice to have somebody else on the team to organize things, make workflows, make it all come together. Take all the scattered pieces, pull it together, and make it happen. So today I want to share, so to step back for a second. So one of the things that I do is I help business owners by repurposing content. I make that content go further. And I do that so the clients that I work with a lot of times will do like a Facebook Live like this, right, on a weekly basis. And it could be just that one live video, but to make it go further, we repurpose it into lots of places. So a Facebook Live video that you do could turn into a podcast episode, right? So you could pull that audio and that could be a podcast episode. It could be also placed not just in Facebook, but in IGTV. It can go to YouTube. It can be, you can reschedule it. You can schedule it to post again later in the week for people that maybe missed it the first time. It can be turned into memes, pull quotes from your Facebook Live that you did, and those can go into memes that go on to your IG, to LinkedIn, to Facebook. So there's just a lot of different things that we can do with one piece of content so that it goes a lot further for you. And I absolutely love that because you're already doing a lot in your business. You're doing those things that only you can do, like showing up and having that personal connection with clients, delivering group programs, delivering one-on-one services. So if there's something that doesn't need to be done, something that you can take off your plate, like posting to Facebook all day or being everywhere, all the places. You can't be all the places all the time and still have that like really high touch personal connection with clients. So if you can take some of this other stuff off your plate, that can really help you to show up in those other places even more. And that's why I love repurposing content, because it just allows you to take this one piece of really valuable content that you've already created and make sure that you can show up in all those other places in all those different ways. And anyways, to get to the topic of today, though, I had a client, potential client, recently kind of reach out to me and ask about content repurposing. And one of the questions that she asked is, what would be my tips for making sure that that content cycle is really successful? And so that's what I'm going to share with you today, is just 3 tips that can really help you to have success when you're repurposing content. So my first tip, and I kind of touched on this last week, is to right away start working on standard operating procedures. That sounds scary. It sounds big. It sounds like I don't want to write an employee manual. It's just me, team numero uno, and I don't need SOPs in my life. But the beauty of SOPs is that you can use them for yourself too, right? So all it is just like a step-by-step of how things are going to happen every single week, every single day, whatever it is. I remember when I worked, so my first job I ever had was working at McDonald's, and I'd love to hear in the comments where your first job was at, but I worked at McDonald's and they had tons of standard operating procedures, right? So they would have something like, when you do the fries, you get 3 shakes of salt and 2 tosses or whatever, and those are perfect fries. What that allows is not only for the consumer to have a really consistent product, but it allows me as a worker who's in high school and has no experience. I don't even know how to boil water, maybe, but I can come in, I can get a job, and I can make that same consistent product that everybody else has made. And so what does that mean to your business? So if you have a standard operating procedure for what happens after you do a live video, if it's going to be loaded up to YouTube, if it's going to be added to your blog, if it's going to turn, if you're going to pull quotes and make them into IG quote cards, whatever that process is that you're going to do, if you write that out, if you have that detailed and you have it into like a standard operating procedure, not only does that mean it makes it super easy for you to hire somebody in the future, it makes it super easy if your niece decides she wants to intern with you for free this summer. You can hand her, this is exactly how it's done, right? It makes it super easy for her to jump in and do that. Or if you are having a crud week and life happens and you feel just like horrible, whatever is going on, it's spring break, you've got a million activities, you're trying to launch, whatever you're trying to do, you can fall back on that also and make it super easy on yourself rather than having to every week think, okay, what am I going to do? What do I want to do this week to be visible? You've already got it like in place and you know exactly what to do. And anybody else who jumps on your team knows exactly what to do too. So that's my first tip. Start laying out your procedure. What is it I want to have happen every week? How do I want it to have happen? How is this content going to be broken down into this piece, and this piece, and disseminated out into the world so that I could show up at all the places? So that's my first tip. The second tip that I have is to give it a little bit of time. When you're creating a new system and you're trying to become visible, it can be really frustrating. You can get overwhelmed. You can drop the ball one week and say, I managed to go live, but that's all I managed to do. Things just got away from me. Or I thought that I could do this, but the process just didn't work. It didn't show up. I didn't feel authentic, whatever it is. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, that's it. I'm not going to repurpose content. I'm not going to do it. I can't figure this out. Give it a time. Even as a professional who helps other business owners, it takes a while to work through the system and say, okay, this works for you. This doesn't work for you. How does this feel? How is this flowing? Is this the right auto scheduler that we want to use? So we've got to try out those different things. We've got to give it a few cycles before we know what works and what doesn't work. And then my third tip is to automate. Automate anything that you can. And this goes back to that week when life happens and everything else falls apart and it's spring break and you've got all the kids home and whatever else is going on in your life. The more that you have things automated. So if you have, for instance, with some of my clients, I use a system that, they use a system that allows their Facebook Live to automatically post to YouTube and to automatically post into a blog article or something. So if you've got some automations in place like that, then even if everything else falls apart, you've at least got part of the system running and in place. So if you do nothing else but create that one piece of content, the more automations that you can put into place, the more that everything else is going to fall into place, even when everything falls apart. And on the days when you are rocking and rolling and you're doing really well and you are on point and you're in the game, then those automations just help you to do even more because you've got those in place and that's just that many less steps that you have to take care of week after week after week. So again, I just want to share like 3 of my tips for creating a really successful content repurposing workflow, and that is to create some standard operating procedures. Write it down. What is going to happen every week? Who's going to do it? Even if it's you, even if you're the only one doing it, write down how is it going to happen? What happens on what day? What are the steps? 2, give it some time. Work through a weekly cycle for a few weeks and see how it goes, see what works, what doesn't. Be willing to edit and change how you do things. And then the third thing is to automate as much as possible. So those are my 3 tips. I hope that they were helpful. And I would love to hear from you if this is something that you're interested in. If you're like, I would love to start repurposing my content. I still have some more questions. Hit me up, meet me in the DMs, drop a comment, and I would love to help out. So with that, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. It's almost Friday. It's Friday Eve. I don't know if that matters to everybody, but I personally do enjoy my weekends as well. So I hope that you all enjoy your weekend. And I will see you again next week, same place, same time, 11:30 Thursday, right here on my Facebook business page. Bye for now.